All right, we're live.
Boom.
Boom. We'll give a couple minutes for everybody to jump on. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, man. I'm excited.
Can you believe it's Wednesday? November 4th already.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm flabbergasted by it.
We've been talking about November 4th for months.
I'm excited. Right?
It'll be November 5th soon.
Wednesday. No. I could hear myself echoing in my phone. Sorry.
So we're live. We're definitely live.
We are definitely live. Yeah.
Well, hi, everybody. Hi, Cunies.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Debbie.
I can't see anybody, can I?
Can you see the comments?
Let me exit full screen and see if I can.
Hit the comments at the top.
Oh, boom. Oh, awesome. Great. Debbie, Julie, Alyssa. Fantastic.
Welcome to Cune, Alyssa. She's new.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's exciting.
Yeah, we got Julie from Cune UK. Alicia, what's up?
Frank, that's Frank.
Frank, where?
We call Alicia Frank.
Oh. I did not know that.
Yeah, we do. It's funny. She knows why.
Yeah. I'm feeling outside of the loop.
It's been a bit. Well, it's a little after 1, so let's get started. So back by popular demand, I'm honored to sit here with you guys today, and my good friend Chris Sulimay, who is a co-owner creator of 124 Go, and you guys asked for us to give you a second glimpse into the mind of Chris Sulimay, I guess. So we thought, you know what? Here we go. So today our main topic is going to be, what did you call it, Chris? Because I loved how you said it as we were prepping.
Consultations that convert. And, basically we've been on the thriving behind the chair kind of topic, if you will. But, there's the reality is now that we've gotten comfortable again being back in the salon, we're starting to ask those genuine questions again around, it feels like it was like Christmas wherever you were at when the salons reopened and there was a rush of clients and they came in and they needed everything. And the fear reality thing that I'm hearing from veteran stylists a lot is it was great. I had people coming back. They were asking for the works. We would do the works. And now I'm kind of feeling like I'm getting back into my groove again a little bit and back into the same old. Mm-hmm. And so, consultations that convert came to me as a topic that I think we should be keeping at top of mind, because the reality is we're back, and the situation has been a tiring one this year for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And we want to make sure we keep that energy up. So the client experience, we don't miss any beats on the client experience. So, mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of what I think the topic can be for today.
Yeah. And we as Chris and I always do, we have a conversation about, so that we can wrap our minds around what's going on. Keep in mind, you guys, comment box is always open to you. Love to hear your comments, questions, feed them to us, and we'll address them. But I wanted to start off with one of the questions, because
I've lost them from India. I had to say hi to India just for a second, because that's across the world. Joyce, James Helton, that's awesome. Hey, Amber. All right, sorry to interrupt.
You're fine. So we talked a little bit too, and kind of a topic behind the consultation is also thriving behind the chair, really for the rest of this year and moving into 2021. It came to a realization in a conversation I was having with Amber, who's on here. Hi, Amber. And we were like, we can't wait for 2020 to be over. And we're like, oh, but wait, it's going to be into 2021, the same type of stuff that we're doing. So
well, and we don't want to forget that we're in November and December of 2020, which is the here and now. And like the reality is that we're seeing people every single day, and every day we're having that positive or medium or negative, experience with clients. And I think, I think it behooves us to want to make sure that we finish these last 2 powerful months of the year Kind of being our best, setting the pace for next year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that leads me to one of the first questions you and I talked about is what is the best approach? And I'm going to change that question a little bit to finishing the rest of the year and approaching 2021.
Yeah. So, this kind of came up in our pre-conversation today, which was get ready. Like, or this morning, I had the pleasure of talking with a group of students. I had about 80 students on a Zoom this morning, and we were chatting about those initial skills that you learn as a student. And today we know that, I'm close to 50 years old, so I'm 47 years old. So the generation behind me and the generation behind them are the people that are coming into the hair industry right now. Mm-hmm. And, many of that group is self-proclaimed, semi-introverted, a little bit, more of the quiet, reserved kind of an experience. And I told you that off of these types of experiences, whether I'm speaking or if I'm behind the chair, I show up as a different me. I very much on purpose show up with the intention of bringing my highest energy, whatever that looks like. So that could be different for you. That could be different for me. But when I go to the salon and when I'm with a person, I'm super intentional about the fact, intentional about the fact that this I have a signed contract with them that says I'm about to spend time with you and make your hair look beautiful and to make you feel amazing. Mm-hmm. Right. And so the look beautiful part for a lot of us is the easy part. But the feel amazing part is the part that we have to interject our energy, our attitude, our outlook, our imagination into how do I take the time that I have with this person and make it better. So the other day I was on a podcast conversation and the person we were interviewing said, that we have to be tougher right now than we've been in a long time because nothing's super easy. And I was like, that's really great. I agree. We have to bring whatever our biggest and best self is. And we know that there's been a lot of energy that hasn't been around our biggest and best self, but we have to muster up our biggest and best self for the back half of this year. So samplings of things that we've been talking about behind the scenes would be, in the beginning, we opened up with these fiery cleaning protocols, and we may have slacked on those in the salon industry some. We think we have to re-up that energy. We opened up with these really intentional initial greetings with clients. I would walk outside before they came up. I would pull the mask off. Mm-hmm. I talked about this on the last talk, and I'd say, hey, welcome. I'm so happy to see you here. I just wanted you to see my smiling face before we go in and do the weird stuff. And then we do, we're taking temperatures. We're doing all this weird, mm-hmm. But the thing is if we've lost the intentionality around any of that, the first thing I would say is get ready, get back to it, re-up your energy, do whatever that takes, outside of work to do. And come into the back half of the year or the back part of the year with a new set of intentions around what could be the busiest 2 months of your year, mm-hmm. right? And then start to take a look at what do I want out of 2021? If you're one of those people who has not ever taken inventory on how much you actually make behind the chair, like how much you bring in, maybe a great goal to set would be, how much do I want a healthy month of income to look like? How many clients do I want to see in a month? Do I want to see in a week? What do my average ticket? What do I want those things to be? As cliche as maybe all this sounds, I think right now is a great time to get ready and get reflective around mm-hmm. what we have coming.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say some of the key focus items in creating that approach? Because I actually love what you said yesterday when I asked you that question is what's the best approach? And you said, have one.
Yeah,
it
right.
is. It's more than ever that I feel like, and we feel that we have to plan. And it's What are some key things that people should be focused on during this time, securing that future in 2021?
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that conversation yesterday, because I mean that is the reality. I've spent time with quite a few salons recently on Zooms, and these are all just like you watching, right? Like all really good hairstylists, all really, good salon professionals, all busy people. And as I start to just ask simple questions like, I'm kidding right now because nobody can talk back to me, but I would ask Blossom, I would say, Blossom, what's a good month in hair money for you, service dollars behind the chair? James, I see, is there. James, what's a good month in you for client count? How are you up in the amount of guests that you're seeing in the salon? Are you down in the amount of guests? I might ask Amber, if you feel like you're, not there yet. By the way, I'm picking out people that I know, except Blossom. We haven't met before, but I hope we do one day. If you feel like you're, for whatever reason, lacking in an area, take a look at, number one, where am I at? And then set, some goals around that thing. So what I find out through asking little simple questions like that is that most people don't really have a plan around what they want to happen. I see a comment that just came in here. I'm getting started as an independent stylist. I've been in a commission salon for years. The question I have is bookkeeping, right? What are some good practices that I should implement in my business? We know the hair stuff, but we just need help with the business stuff too. And you said LOL at the end, but that's not a laughing matter, right? Sure. Like that. I mean, I'm so glad that you just said that. And while I probably won't solve that on this particular call or Facebook Live, what I would say is a really smart question to be asking somebody in your life, your CPA or other business owners that there's a lot of business networking groups and things like that in your local areas where you could find a person who's a good bookkeeper. And if you're a stylist and you're asking me, how do I prepare for next year? I say, set your behind the chair goals, set some savings goals, set some lifestyle goals, things like that. If you're a salon owner, I say, ask yourself the question, what are the business owner skills that I lack? And that would go for an independent salon owner as well as, an owner operator of a single independent salon all the way up to multiple locations like, Brian that I work for. So have a plan, understand the skills that you have already mastered. And like, maybe this year isn't the year for you to go to a haircutting class. Maybe you know how to cut hair. Maybe the thing that you need to be searching for is leadership, business, KPIs, which are key performance indicators of your business. And you need to be hanging out in that group more. Alyssa, who put in comments there, maybe it's time for me to start to take a look at, what is the business side of, and that's seeking financial help with, those professionals as well. So, so have a plan, and know what it is that your weaknesses are, and maybe shelf your strengths for a little while. Maybe don't go to a hair color class if you're a hair colorist already for the first 6 months. Go to business classes.
Yeah, so if I can add to that, Chris, you're exactly right. And I think too, and I'm not sure if Alyssa, you came from a commission environment and now decided to go independent, but I think a step one for anybody, what you're doing is to look at what your overhead is. What does it cost you to run your business?
Yeah.
Then figure out what you need to make a week at 50% commission, so that you always are putting money back to support your overhead, as well as put a little savings to the side if you need to take a day off, or I don't know if you have children, or the unforeseen future will help you. And doing that and figuring out what that cost and overhead is going to be for you is a great step one when you're just trying to figure out. Yeah, totally. I think we have another question.
Chantel was saying that she was saying she's had a coach for about a year and a half, and it's been a huge game changer. And yeah, so there's people like us out there, 124 Go. There's business coaches at all levels inside of the salon industry that you could hook up with. So you're welcome, of course, to reach out to us as well after this, for sure.
And anybody who's really looking for just a little more, and you're a Cume user, we're going to be having a special event next week. So Alyssa, if you want to shoot me your email at education@cume.com, I can send you some more information, to help get started, and anyone on here that would like to learn any more about financial fitness. And getting that way, we'll be doing that program with John Palmieri. So yeah, great questions. Keep them coming. So what else, Chris, do you foresee from a planning standpoint?
Yeah.
I go to referrals, and we're still going to need those. And yeah,
totally. So, I'm going to go back to hair chair side for a minute. And it's probably because my brain is fresh off of the students this morning. And what I love about having conversations with new hairstylists is sometimes they'll ask questions either that a veteran stylist hadn't thought of in years, or they'll ask a question because they're not afraid to look or feel silly around different things. But all of the professional hairstylists that I've been talking with lately, whenever I bring up, those basic foundational things, which I think are very in vogue right now. Like, I say this all the time. If I would have asked you in February, what class do you want to go to? You would have said Instagram and balayage or something like that. And while those are both great topics, of course, and they will be for a long time, after these past couple of months, it's been about business foundations, goal setting, setting my benchmarks in the salon, understanding the business of being a hairstylist. And it's become really apparent that that's just a fact right now. With that said, the first thing that we did after the pandemic openings again, where we got back open, and we did a lot of work around that, and that's done. We should focus on it. We should keep it intentional and top of mind. But now we've had people come back a few times again. And like I said earlier on this kind of talk, I don't want to fall back to the status quo. So for me, the next big portion has been about reinventing or rejuvenating, refreshing your consultation approach and getting back to converting. And what I mean by converting is really just a couple of different things. Making my consultation turn something into something better. So like take her from where she's at to where she wants to be, right? And that most of the time is simply about letting people know that there's these other things that exist, right? The second part of that is like I guess the first part is understanding or getting back to taking control of the pace of the entire appointment, right? So in our own company, I've witnessed a lot of people say to us, like, it feels like the same conversation lately. It's wearing on me. It's heavy. And what we're now saying a lot of, we're kind of beating this drum, is you have to take control of that conversation right out of the bat. You have to take care of the energy. I've got to get ready. I've got to show up with bigger energy. And then when we get over to the chair, I got to make sure that the stupid masks aren't what I'm talking about. Like, I have a mask on. So do you. Let's get on with it and get over it, right? That's happening. So that's done, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm kind of impressing upon people is two things. Have the conversation before the conversation that says, Jessica, with all of this stuff that's going on, I realize it's been a while since we've actually had a really good conversation about your hair. Mm-hmm. And now if that's not true, like if we just had a really good conversation, then I might say something different. Like, I love that we treated our last appointment like a first appointment. Can we do that again? And so I know that we just talked about all this stuff. I know that we just did this, but I'm getting you in the habit, and I'm getting me in the habit of having a thorough, deep, rich, meaningful conversation about your hair, how you're feeling about your hair, what you love about your hair, what you're maybe not loving about your hair, and what you need help with your hair. And I can only do that if at some point I say during the appointment, this is the cutoff line. Jessica, do you mind if we treat right now like the last time, like, do you mind if we treat right now like the first time we ever had like our first consultation in the appointment? Sorry, I'm tripping on my words because I'm trying to.
So are you asking me if we can have our first date over again?
Yes. Yes, I would love that. And the answer is it's always a giggle. It's always yes. It's always good because I'm tired of talking about this shit too. It's always that type of an approach because the client's really there for their hair. Like it's what they're there for, you know, and they love you. They love you. They go to you because they think you're the best and you are, and you love them. And we're disservicing them. We all know this, but we're disservicing them when we don't have these types of conversations. Yeah. Take ownership of the conversation. That's right.
So, you know, if I can add to that, I was having a really great conversation with a group of stylists last week, and they were showing frustration as you were talking about, you know, I'm sick of this, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm curious to our viewers right now, how much downtime in hours do you have a week based on your salon situation, you know, or, you know, capacity, that type of thing. And I said to them, and they felt like they weren't getting to spend enough time with either clients that had just started to see them prior to COVID or right before COVID, or clients they hadn't seen come back. So I said to them, have you thought about doing a pre-consult meeting? And they're like, And I said, do you have FaceTime? Do you have their phone? Can you, you know, jump on a free, you know, video type of environment, just touching base with them? Or if it's a brand new client that you're like, I'm going to need more time with, but I don't have that extra time when they consult. Let's have a conversation. I can't feel your hair right now, but we can go through the what, why, and how, the challenges that you're having. Are you looking for a change? I'm very curious to follow up with them to see, one, if they executed that, and two, what was the outcome? Because again, Amber's right, taking ownership of the conversation. Why not pre-start it before they ever walk in the front door?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I can't take credit for the fact that I've heard that approach before because it was from a guest on a podcast of ours, Jay Williams, I think, mentioned it first. And I was like, Jay, that's brilliant. Everybody else is on Zoom right now. Everybody's gotten very used to these. And to be truthful, many of you that are like really social savvy on Instagram have been doing this already in a way where, you know, you're asking for pictures of their hair. A lot of your salon softwares will allow you to do this right now, to where we use a texting program inside of our salon where we have new clients send pictures of their hair so we can give them the best, you know, idea around the closest quote that we can give them. And so taking it to the FaceTime level is a great idea. And the reality is, you know, people are more open to that than ever right now. Get creative, like get super creative. Somebody said the other day, you know, what we need to do right now is we need to shelf the stuff that isn't working anymore. You know, there are some things we need to take off the shelf, and there's some things we need to polish off and kind of reinvent. And, you know, so some of those things are that you can reinvent it. So now I'm going to ask you a question because I have a mini rant, and it's not, you know, I would love to walk through what I think the 6 steps of a seamless consultation are to give kind of a snapshot, because I think the reality is we all probably know the questions to ask to get, you know, a certain result. We probably know, you know, that I can look at a picture and I can say to you, what do you like about this? But the more I talk with hairstylists in this type of a format, like on a Zoom, where I'm able to call on them and go, Jessica, and ask them a direct question. You know, it's maybe a bit invasive, but they give me honest answers. What I realize is there's a couple of things that we're having trouble doing. I don't think anybody's having trouble getting the look. Mm-hmm. I think most of you watching, you know, unless you're brand new and you're still working that out, can look at a picture and you can get the look. The thing that I think is still scary is charging correctly for all the services that you're performing, or maybe putting the brakes on making offerings because you're afraid of the pricing and that sort of a thing. And then like inside of, if I do want to try to get them to try something new, I don't really quite know how to talk about it if it's going to be a lot, you know, if there's going to be a price difference. So I feel like there's kind of, if you watch somebody's consultation, just sitting back, you'll realize that it goes through a flow, and that flow goes through kind of 6 sort of phases, if you will. So the first phase we've already talked about, which is setting the pace of the consultation, taking control back. Like Jessica has sat back down and we caught up for a second. We bonded. I made sure she was comfortable. Whatever our protocols are, we did all of those things. And now we're at that point where either 2 things are going to happen. One, Jessica's just going to start to talk and I'm going to listen, right? My client is going to start to talk and I'm going to listen and then try to ask questions. That's one thing that's going to happen. Another thing that might happen is I might say something like, so did you like your hair last time? That's something that might happen, right? Oh, sure. Yeah. Just do your magic. Great. And then I have no chance to give recommendations. And then the third thing that could happen is I can take control and I could say, Jessica, can we treat this just like it's a first appointment? Mm-hmm. So that to me is taking control of the consult. I'm basically letting you know that it's time to start and I have the ball in my hands and I'm going to give you the ball when it's time for you to answer a question. And you have the ball the entire time you're talking. I don't take the ball back ever, right? So this isn't a forceful thing. This is a very friendly thing. But, you know, I'm going to ask you, like, Jessica, is it okay if we have that conversation? You're going to say, yeah, sure. And I'm going to say, awesome. When was the last time you loved your hair? And then I'm going to shut up. And it could be the last appointment. I loved my hair the last appointment. Awesome. What did you love? What'd you love about it? You know, is it the color? Is it the shape? Are we getting your hair back feeling the way you want it to feel? I want to ask questions and then I want to ask more questions. Mm-hmm. To give a kind of an interjection here is what we do most of the time is we ask questions and then we answer the question for the client. Right?
How does your hair feel? Because I think it feels dry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or how's it feel? It's looking shiny. It really looks shiny. Mm-hmm. What did you like? The color? Brighter? Oh, great. You know, it's like you never got a chance to say, well, actually, I feel like it's faded a little bit. Or, so I want to ask questions. I want to stop and listen. And then I want to ask more questions. My screen just did something weird. So hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. Don't you love it when your computer just decides to like take control?
Mm-hmm. Or the internet just dies for no reason.
Yeah. So that's the first chunk. Those 2 pieces are set the pace. And then I call it investigating sometime, because an investigation leads me to believe that I'm not just going to ask questions and then answer them, but I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to ask more questions, mm-hmm. because that's what somebody does when they investigate. And, it doesn't have to be in a creepy, uncomfortable way, nothing like that. You deliver it with your style, right? But I'm asking questions and I'm asking good, relevant follow-up questions. Mm-hmm. So that's the first 2. The second kind of portion, I kind of think of it in 3 portions, right? Is like getting clear with the person. So, making acknowledgement to what you just feel like you just heard, and then getting clear with them that what you're thinking is what they're thinking, right? So, if you shared with me that you haven't loved your hair since you were 16 years old, you hear a lot of people say that. Some of you have had the thing happen. You have to comment yes if you've had this happen. like where I've had a person carry around a little baggie of their actual natural hair color from when they were younger, and they kept the baggie. And like
Really?
they're now like, yeah, 10 years later. Like if you've ever had something creepy like that happen, you have to say yes. I hope I'm not the only one. But she was like, this is my actual hair color. And I was like, well, actually, this is your actual hair color. you know, we're working with two different hair colors. So I want to get super clear about that. But I want to acknowledge that I see that you loved that auburn hair color that your hair used to be. This is the color we're going for. Like, I get it. Sorry, I'm shaking the table here. I'm so excited. So, yeah. So, we want to acknowledge that we're hearing the person, and we want to clarify. This is what I feel like I'm hearing you say. Now, right now, a lot of times it's through pictures and imagery. So a lot of the clarity is happening through me saying, Jessica, I love this. I'll pull up an image here.
I have to share this one because it's hysterical. I'm going to share it on the screen. Alyssa said she had a client bring a picture of her dog and ask for that color.
Exactly. Like those are the things that we get. And so, I might say to a person like, I love this color too, and I think this is going to look beautiful on you. Let me ask you a question. Just for clarity, do you want to be this light all over, or are you enjoying more the dimension that you're seeing up top? Do you like that shadow root, that's what we call it, has a stretch? Or do you think you want that blonde a little closer to the scalp, or maybe in smaller, like a baby light kind of so I want to get clear with them. And the reason why I'm doing this, so hear me out for a second. The reason why I want to get clear is because I want to introduce to them the language and the way I talk about it. So your clients right now are coming to you with language that they've heard on the internet, that they've seen on, they've heard modern shag, they've heard balayage, but they don't know what it means. They might see the picture and go, okay, that's balayage, but they don't know that actually to do that, I'm not going to do balayage. I'm going to do a teasy light inside of a foil. And then when that hair's finished processing, I'm going to do a shadow root. They don't. So I'm going to start to give her and introduce new language inside of it. And then I'm going to ask her. So this is the second portion of this acknowledge and clarify. Jessica, is that making sense? Did you like the blonde closer to your scalp, or did you like the fact that she had that stretch root? Mm-hmm. And you're going to say, just give me a fake answer. Yeah, you like the stretch root. Right. And I say, awesome. And I say, just based on that, can I make a few recommendations for you?
Sure.
So that's the second part of the kind of the 6 seamless steps. Now, you guys are doing this. Everybody's doing this already, but sometimes we leave steps out, or sometimes we rush through things. So what I just did was I got her approval to make recommendations. And most of us aren't doing that. I wish what I just said wasn't true, but most of the time we go from the picture to I got this, and then boom, I'm off mixing. And we never really talked about the steps that it's going to take to get there. We never really got to talk clearly about what that would look like in a pricing scenario. And so because of that, now I'm back. Yeah, maintenance. Now I'm back at the mixing bar, and I'm going, well, if I add Bond Fusion, I have to charge her $40, but I really need to add Bond Fusion, but I don't want to tell her that I'm going to have to charge her for it. I really need, I'm going to do the baby lights, but I'm going to paint some hair in between. If I do that, maybe I'll just charge. So like we start to play this game. And the reason why we're playing the game is because we never made a clear recommendation. And then we never got to the next part, which was breaking those recommendations up into options, right? So this is the final part now. We did step 1 and 2 was set the pace and ask a lot of questions, investigate, ask questions, and then answer answers with questions. Step 2 is acknowledging and clarifying that this is what I heard, this is whatever, and then get clear. pick apart the picture. Oh, is this what you love about it? Did you love more texture? Are you going to be wearing your hair natural? Right. So I ask more questions, and then now I get the green light. Jess, I feel, unless there's anything more you feel like you need to tell me, I'd love to make some recommendations for you based on what you've told me. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Boom. So that's it. It's a one-liner. And now I have the ball back.
So take us through that same scenario with recommendations, because I think it's important to loop that into what you just said about you get to the mixing area. I feel like we almost talk ourselves out of our own plan.
Yeah.
Because we're concerned about having now to go back and say it's going to cost this much more or whatever. So take us through what that recommendation would look like, every step of that.
It's the perfect question because it's the final two pieces of the, I call it 6 seamless steps now. I didn't used to call it that, but I've been thinking a lot about what it is. And so now I call it that. And so in the giving 3 options, I have kind of in the past few years been playing with the reality that look, if you're in a salon where you guys do a la carte pricing and you do it well and you charge for all of the things that you do and you're able to communicate that, then keep doing it, right? So if you're the type of person, there are very few of you out there. I want you to know that there are very few people that are listening right now that go, Jessica, before I get started, I just want to give you a breakdown. So we're going to do, what I'm going to need to do to get you to this final look is we're going to do a full head of baby lights. And in between those baby lights, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a glaze at about the first 3 inches out to start to introduce a little bit of a shadow root. Then from there, I'm going to balayage and kind of hand paint your ends to really go from that really deep, rich scalp area, the base of your hair, and to blend into that lighter color. Most of you aren't delivering it like that. If you were, I would go great. And then you would go, so for the baby lights and the glaze in between and the balayage on the ends, you would price it out. It's $125 for the baby lights. It's, $125 for the in-between, balayage, and, $55 for the glaze, whatever it is. Like, most people aren't doing it that way. People that do it that way, I say, keep doing it that way. That's fine. Mm-hmm. If you're the rest of us, and I am the rest of us. This is why I landed on this, because I realize that there are people out there that have a more sophisticated language than I do. They have a greater approach than I do. They're more comfortable naturally with pricing. I've had to build to my pricing over a lot of years. And so an average visit for me now is in the $260 range or $280 range, but it wasn't always that way. I had to build to it. And here's how I built to it. In the giving 3 options, now we're at that point. I want you to think in terms of, all of you know the pricing of what I would call the necessities. This is the appointment where Jessica is in between appointments. She was just in 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Her roots are this long and they're gray. I know that yours are definitely not gray, but if they were in an imaginary world, right? Her roots are this long and they're gray. And now I have to have the discussion around, this is a maintenance visit. This is necessities. You know what necessities is. It's a root touch up with a trim and possibly a treatment at the back bar or a glaze or whatever it is that you do. That's a basic appointment that Jessica's already on the book for. Jess, based on what I heard, it sounds like you're looking to do a little more work than you're on the book for. But just so you know, if you want to go ahead with the necessities for today, like what you're down for, this is what you're going to walk away spending. And I would say that's going to include, we're going to do the touch up, the glaze like we like to do, and, make sure we dust the ends to keep it perfect in the shape that it's in. You're going to walk out. Now I'm going to make up numbers. So don't take me on the price. I'm just making up. You'll walk out today with the usual 150 that you expected to spend that we booked for last time. Based on the conversation, I'd love to give you 2 other options if that's cool with you. Right? So I let them know up front, this is where you're at. This is good. No price anxiety. This is where we're at. But based on what we just talked about, I'd really love to offer you 2 more options. And I think you'll probably want to do the whole thing, but I want to give you some options in between, like that would get us closer. So maybe we're going to put in more baby lights, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that root touch up we're already going to do, the baby lights becomes a part of that, and we're going to add a glaze. Or if we were already going to glaze the ends, or if we were all going to treat it, we're going to add a treatment and a glaze. So anyway, whatever your next price point is, let's say it goes up $45, right? So you go from $150 to $195. Now, maybe it's not $45 for you. Maybe it's $25. Maybe it's not $45 for you. Maybe it's $85, right? I don't know your pricing. What I want to do is I want to build a ticket that's a lower, a medium, and a higher. And what I want my medium to be, so this is $195 that I just said with the 45 more, right? So I want my medium to be the average ticket that I'm shooting for. Okay. So for me, that medium hit is $220, right? I always know that if I'm going to land us somewhere, that, if we're just doing the necessities, I know that's going to land us in the 190s range. I know that, that medium build that I'm going to do, which would include some baby lights and a little root smudge and, a trim or dusting or, maintenance or a haircut, whatever, that's going to put me in that 220-ish range. And then I know there's the 285 range, which is the works, right? Now, again, 285 might not be your pricing. It's my pricing, right? So you don't have to go on my pricing, but what I want to do is I want to give them a good, better, best, bronze, silver, gold, a silver, gold, platinum. You guys have creative language, but I like using packages in my offering, and inside of the packages are the services that I've pre-priced that I know. Now, maybe inside of, if we go from necessities to basics to the works, maybe inside of the basics, there's a value add. So if I'm really trying to push people towards grabbing that middle package, maybe the value add is, they get a free treatment along with it, or it looks like a complimentary treatment or something like that built into the price. So that's how I offer recommendations. And then I just show them the 3 prices. So I made these up as we were having the conversation, but then I would show them, like, if we did the works and however you need to do it, I'd say that's where we would land today. Is that okay with you? And then she would say, yeah. And she might say, sure. A lot of times she does. Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she says, no, what was the glaze with the baby lights, but, without the balayage? And I say, I'm making up pricing here just as I like go. I say, that's where we would land there. And then I say, do you have time for that today?
And I love that too, because you're giving them also a road to their ultimate goal, right? Totally. Yeah. Give them a taste of the goal. Yeah. Another thing I love about what you're saying and implementing something in addition is when you're taking them through that pricing and what you're going to describe, what you're doing, the root smudge and the balayage and the baby lights, bring that picture back out.
Yeah.
And point to the picture as you're talking about what you're going to do. Yeah. It brings it more to life to the client. They're looking at that end result that they want so badly, right? Yeah. Along the way. I also include retail product in my quotes as well. It's a great time to talk about, okay, Jessica, you're going from now a brunette to a blonde. Yeah. You're going to need maintenance product. Yeah. Silver Saver shampoo and conditioner. It's this pricing. I know you already have shampoo, but you can alternate between this and that, or we can customize for you with Q&U. Yeah. So, that type of thing. I always include that because we know when you go through that much of a change from A to Z, there's additional maintenance that's required. So, I love that. I love that structure.
Totally agree with you. And a lot of times I'll tell people, and again, I'll say the same thing, like, to where if you're doing something that's working, continue to do that. I eventually moved my hair care offerings due to the fact that I learned from other people. I eventually moved those offerings into another part of the appointment when I had time. So what I would do is I would collect that information. And some people have chosen to, inside of their packages, by the way, this is, you just set this, I remembered this from what you just said. Some people have included products in their packages, which I've not done, but I believe you can do. And I believe it works well for the people that do that. They say, look, if we're going to totally take you from, level 3 to level 10 today, this is going to be a 6, 8, 10 hour process. Then you're going to need to take care of your hair when you get home. And it's a non-negotiable that this is all wrapped in there. What I've kind of been doing is taking the information that I got inside of here. And then as I'm getting into the service, I'll say to them, if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about hair care while we're performing the service. We'll have a little more time to discuss. And that's when I've shifted my offering. And then I do the exact same thing that you just said. So if you're struggling with making too many offerings in the consult, then ask one final question, because after the options, if you said yes to yes, let's do that. Now I'm going to go, great. Do you have any other questions before we start? And then you either will or you won't, right? So if you have more questions, I answer them. If you don't have questions, then I say, awesome. If it's okay, I'd love to get started with the service. We have a lot of work to do. And then I had a few ideas for some things you might be wanting to maintain your hair with at home that I'd love to talk to you about while we're working. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, I do have a question though, because I'd love to hear what your approach is, because I'm sure you've heard this question. Using that picture, my hair transition as the example. What is my commitment? How I'm coming back now every 3 to 4 weeks because of that gray you pointed out. But now, how often am I going to have to come? Because now I'm going to be blonde.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we're talking maintenance, I want to just be honest about whatever it is. So, here's the reality, Jess. Your hair is a level 4, right? At least it looks like that through my computer here, right? So, your natural hair is a level 4. What that means is on a scale of 1 to 10, right? 10 being lightest, 1 being darkest, you fall somewhere in that dark brown range. Now, when you put light blonde next to dark brown and you start to get an outgrowth, you're going to notice faster, right? If we do the smudge route a little bit, you're going to get a little bit more longevity out of that process, which is what I love about doing a smudge route. Now, we'll probably need to glaze your ends in between to keep that blonde vibrant for longer. But other than that, the maintenance is a little lower. So if you want to go tight to the scalp, you're going to see me sooner. If you want to have that little give in there, that little smudge route, it's what I love about those lived-in colors. You have a little more time in between your outgrowth, and a lot of the maintenance work that we'll do is keeping your blonde looking fresh.
Love it. Great answer. We love that answer.
Thanks. And I'm looking. I want to look at comments for a second here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, not actual hair, though. Oh, that's funny. I had a formal class. We're talking about when I asked everybody. Alyssa said she had somebody bring in a picture of her dog. A former classmate booked me because I was the only one who knew what her original hair color used to be. That's hilarious. You should call Debbie, you should call all of your former classmates and let them know you're the only one who remembers what their original hair color used to be. Yeah, Jessica had somebody bring in a photo. Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, with the frame. That's the best.
It was the frame. Yeah. Oh, photo with frame. I thought I read
frame and all, like frame and all. I thought I was the only one who still had framed photos sitting up on my walls. So that's hilarious. I saw Chantel talking about that she uses the salon scale system, so she breaks down the exact price. Yeah, and customers do love it. You want to know what customers love, Chantel, to your point, is they love knowing upfront what they're about to spend. Nobody loves being sticker shocked. And for whatever reason, we run around this. And so in my older age, I have somehow hit this place of freedom where I'm very comfortable to tell people up front that, whatever I'm going to be doing on them is probably going to be expensive. It's more of a luxury service. And, I let them know that. And I say, I don't know what feels like expensive to you, but I want to give you the price points that we're talking about. And I was not comfortable with that for a long time, but I think with just age and experience, I've found a language that rolls off of my tongue, and that's what you have to do. You have to find inside of those 6 steps. So I'm going to say them one more time, kind of as just a quick recap. I'm not going to go through them. Set the pace, ask, right? Ask and listen, acknowledge and clarify, get the green light. So I want to ask them if I can make recommendations. Then I want to give 3 options. And then I want to ask for consent to start the service. And I always ask that by saying, Jessica, do you have any more questions before I get started? Mm-hmm. Then if you say, yes, you have questions, I answer them. If you say, no, you don't have any questions, the last thing I ask for is permission to talk about product while I'm working on your hair.
Love it.
Awesome. Thoughts, questions, comments?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
And then we're running out of time.
Oh.
Can you believe how fast the time goes by?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to rant, though, because I had prepared. I pulled out the first Shop Talk copy this morning, and I was like reading through it. And I was like, it would be really valuable to put that out there, because this is what I try to teach the students. And when they get it, the new ones, they come out of, school, and they're like, they jump way ahead of the other people that got put on the floor. And it's just because they've learned through, discomfort that if they just use the system, it puts them in better results in communication with the guest.
Mm-hmm. And I hope I don't get like thumb down boos with this question. But
we love thumbs down. Come on. Come on.
I don't love thumbs down. But should we go into another closure?
Yeah.
A reduction in occupancy.
Sure.
What should we really think about moving through that, or to prepare for that?
Yeah, totally. The first thing I want to say is nobody wants that to happen, right? But it's out of all of our control, mm-hmm. And so even with 124 Go, we were a little quiet through shutdowns, because we know that we're in the business of coaching salons that are open, right? And that, we have to be open to be, in business and profitable and do the thing we love. However, with that said, I just podcasted with a friend of mine who doesn't work in the Kuhn world. Her name's Jen Plank, and she and I were talking about this very topic. And it came up that a lot of people regretted how they spent their time during the first closure. So we went through this period of, no, this isn't happening. Oh my God, my whole world shut down. Oh, I can't believe this. This is really hard. And, then we went through this kind of like, hippie sort of phase where like, we were just going to like all post pictures of us in flower fields and like, everything was fine, and then I think the reality set in that like, there was paperwork. Some people didn't get on financial stuff. And I think some people look back at the way they spent their closed down time, when they had to take a knee, as Jen put it, and they didn't like the way they spent the time. Other people got very prepared during that time. They got prepared to reopen. They got prepared to profit. They took a look at the systems that they were running. Now, the cleaning and protocol stuff, that's the obvious stuff, right? So I care very much about that, but I don't want to spend time on that. because if you're not doing that awesomely, then you're not set up for business, right? So do that awesome. Then from there, decide how you want to come back. Whether that's, I know a lot of you are in continual communication with your clients, and you were, almost apologetically every time you would get closed down again, and it wasn't in your control. So, don't apologize for that, because that wasn't your fault. But be ready with systems for it. Mm-hmm. Communicate up front. If this looks like it's happening in our area, I hope it doesn't. But if it does, outreach quickly. Let your clients know what your contingency plan is, and then have a plan. And then the other part and piece is, I think you should know how much money that you sacrifice during that time, because however long time you're closed, you don't actually get to make that money up, even if you come back really strong, right? I know that sounds weird, but that's a block of time that you can't remake up. But I would have it real clear in my mind. What do you do in a month in dollars? Now, if that's for your entire salon, you're the owner, then know your salon numbers really well. So when you come back, you can have a plan to get back to profitability, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe have the conversations with your landlords up front if you're independent. What's it going to look like if we do have to do this? But the other thing that came from it, I said it earlier, it's like we just have to know that was that shutdown time. It's out of our control, but it's a time for us to stay in the know, stick around people that are going to be thinking better thoughts and doing better things, and then be that person that plans during your time. Take some of that downtime. Definitely do self-care. But how do you want to open up? How are you going to respond? Don't be the person that the day before you find out you're open, you have to go in and test everything out. Like, have that ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good answer.
Thanks.
Any last words? Friends?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. I mean, this was a very active comments box. I'm like really appreciative. On the last one, I wasn't able to see. So thank you to everybody that's on. Is that Joanna? Is that how I say that? I hope so. Jonay. Awesome. That's what I call my brother's wife. But her real name's Janet and his name's Joe. So I call them Jonay. I call them both that. But Chantel, Debbie, everybody that joined. Marco, I see you. Is it Udra? I love that name. I see you. Crystal, thank you. Alicia, thank you. Dora, thank you for being on. Courtney Von Berg, hello. Just that, I love that people actually jumped onto this live. I know most of you, some of us, we know each other. So if you actually sat and listened, if you already know me, I have no idea why you would do that. So that's hilarious. So thank you. But if we haven't met before, thanks, because I know you just took time out of your day. My final words would, I guess, be the kind of what the theme that we just left off with is, look, hairstylists are resilient. And, you've been through 2001, you've been through 2008 and come out the other side and been better and stronger. And now we're in the, finishing out the 2020 Corona season. And, hopefully 2021 looks better. But if it doesn't, remember, you've been given a gift in your heart and in your hands to make people feel and look and be better and live better. And so as long as you just keep in mind that you're a very important person, you're essential in my book, right? You're a very important person. We found out when salons reopened just how much we were missed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a message that you've needed to hear for a long time. So I want to second the message and third the message and fourth the message that you guys are out there changing lives. And remember that, because that's how that will help you to suit up and show up and continue to, make this world a more beautiful place.
Awesome. Well said, friend. Well, I want to thank Chris for joining me today. It's always a pleasure and fun. Thank all of our viewers. And join us Monday. George Alderetti will be back with Trend and Tradition, bringing you some more education And again, I hope everyone stays safe and healthy and happy out there and enjoys the rest of your week. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.